But I share that story to really illustrate truly how psychological food aversions can be and to offer that as maybe an option you've never considered before. As far as nutrition coaching goes, the first strategy I want to give you works well for selective palates who struggle with textures. Aversions are not always a flavor issue, but if your loved one is particular about his or her sensory intake, this could be helpful. Do you struggle to stay consistent with healthy eating and just want food decisions to be easy, guilt-free, and sustainable? You're in the right place. Hi, I'm Chelsea, nutritionist and fitness coach who overcame restrictive yo-yo dieting and body image insecurities using simple nutrition tools, all backed by biblical principles. And now I help women like you find that same freedom with food so you can feel confident in the look and health of your body for decades to come. I'm ready to dive in with you. So grab that cute notebook you've been hanging on to and let's go. Have you heard about my new coaching opportunity? I'm really excited about this. For the first time ever, I'm offering 1-hour coaching calls to tackle your biggest challenges when it comes to diet and nutrition and actually staying consistent. These sessions are called Diet-Free Nutrition Coaching, and you will walk away with a totally customized step-by-step plan to get you through that hump. Just head to coachrain.com/dietfree to book your coaching session with me. Pause this episode for a minute if you need to because you do not want to wait. Spots are filling up fast. I only have a few of them left, and I don't want you to miss this. Again, that's coachrain.com/dietfree. And let's conquer your nutrition plan. And now, welcome to the show. Raise your hand if you know a picky eater. It could be one of your children, maybe your husband, heck, perhaps you are the picky eater. I certainly know quite a few and have coached numerous people who either are the picky eater or are in charge of feeding one. I know it can be so frustrating. Here you are, bending backwards to try and make something healthy, but also something they will actually eat. And it breaks my heart when a client comes to me who is cooking separate meals to accommodate their loved one's selective palate, on top of working a full-time job, getting laundry done, making sure the house is decently clean, picking up and dropping off kids at various activities. I mean, it's just not fair. So in this episode, I want to give you some practical ideas to help you feed your picky eaters, or as I like to call them, loved ones with selective palates. All of that in an easy but healthy way. The first thing to note is that selective palates are more often than not psychological. And I don't mean that in a dismissive way, quite the opposite, actually. In most cases, we develop aversions to food not because we just want to be disobedient and frustrating, but because there is a deeper root that we may not always be able to pinpoint. The first time I really understood selective palates from that perspective is with an experience my brother had, actually. For as long as I have known him, my brother had always struggled with food aversions. Like, would rather eat a spoonful of ketchup than a nibble of any vegetable of any kind. We're talking that level of struggle. And he was a good kid, not a troublemaker by any means. But man, if it wasn't pizza, he probably wasn't going to eat it. I remember seeing him for the first time in probably close to a year. I was in college and he was a couple years ahead of me into postgraduate life. And he had lost so much weight. I could not believe the transformation. I can't remember how much exactly, but I think it was close to 50 to 60 pounds. I mean, it was incredible. And when I asked what he was doing, he told me that he had heard a DJ on the radio speak about how he had quit smoking cold turkey after going through a hypnosis treatment. So my brother had decided to do the same for his food aversions, and he's never been the same since. Can pretty much eat anything but raw carrots now. If that is not a testament to how deeply psychological selective palates can be, I don't know what is. Now, I'm not suggesting you bring your developing child to a hypnotist, but if you're an adult who has struggled with this for a long time without relief, it may be worth considering. I would just make sure to do your research and ensure that the psychologist you see is a Christ follower and not part of any occult association. That's just not a territory we want to step into, especially with uncovering deeply seated psychological roots. Do not give the devil even an inch into your subconscious. But I share that story to really illustrate truly how psychological food aversions can be and to offer that as maybe an option you've never considered before. As far as nutrition coaching goes, the first strategy I want to give you works well for selective palates who struggle with textures. Aversions are not always a flavor issue, but if your loved one is particular about his or her sensory intake, this could be helpful. And that's what I call positive association. Basically, we take an inventory of the foods they do like and slowly introduce single ingredients that are similar. For example, if they like apples, perhaps we can try a pear for 1 week. And then maybe the following, an Asian pear, a different variety. And it may help to serve the apple and the pear together so that they can start to see the similarities and mentally associate the one already on their good list with the new item. Another strategy I've had success with in my nutrition coaching clients is trying several preparation methods of the same food to find the one that lands. I had a client who hated carrots. I mean, when we started working together, he straight up told me, if you make me eat carrots, I will interpret that as you not valuing our friendship, and that will be the end of this. Of course, he was joking for emphasis, but honestly, not really. He really hated carrots. However, as time went on, we discovered that it was the crunchy carrots and carrot juice he couldn't tolerate. When they were added to a stew or a soup and got super mushy, infused with the flavor of broth and meat, the carrots weren't an issue anymore. So finding similar textures to the ones they like or completely changing the textures of the ones they don't could be options. The next strategy works particularly well with kids, but it does also work with teenagers and adults. The key is they have to be mature enough to willingly try new foods. And the approach as the meal maker does also play an important role with this one. I will say this method can fall flat on the, let's say, husbands who have always eaten a certain way and refuse to change. Not speaking from coaching experience or anything. There's really no special name for it. It's just simply involve them in the process. In my nutrition coaching program, The Sustainable Way, I actually teach my clients several strategies to make this approach fun and engaging for both kids and adults. They're almost like games to play with meal creation, and they work really well. Essentially, you're giving your selective palate loved one the power over one element of a meal within a set of boundaries. For example, let's say you take them grocery shopping. You get to the produce section and say, okay, I need you to pick out one thing from this set of shelves that we can include in dinner this week. Anything you want, but it has to be from this section right here. What this does psychologically is give them freedom of choice. Instead of having to eat whatever you put in front of them, now they have some skin in the game. With decision making comes a sense of responsibility, and then they will pick very carefully and usually have a sense of pride when it shows up in the finished product. Again, this really only works when the selective palate person is willing to try something new, and the one presenting it offers it as if they are a teammate in the plan. Again, I have a lengthy list of ways to help your selective palate loved ones expand their repertoire of foods that they can eat. And I would love to find the right one for you inside of nutrition coaching, where I can actually hear more of the specifics of your situation and then create a custom plan. But for this episode, this final strategy is what I consider to be a last resort. I don't love using this method unless your selective palate person is becoming malnourished. Signs of malnourishment can show up as excessive weight loss to the point of losing muscle mass and starting to see bones, generally a gaunt look. It can show up as losing or thinning hair, really fine hair, or seeing the scalp through your hair, receding hairline. It can also present on the skin, seeing evidence of early aging, dark circles under the eyes, plus just generally low energy and irritability, moodiness. All classic signs of malnourishment. So if you are in charge of feeding someone with strong food aversions who refuses to eat anything with a vitamin in it and their health is being compromised, this is the strategy I'll use. And it's called the disguise method. Generally, I don't love the idea of hiding vegetables in meals, especially in a parent-child relationship, because number one, it never gives the child a chance to associate positively with something that they've deemed negative in their mind. And two, when they do find out they've been eating, say, broccoli all along, there instantly becomes a level of distrust. I know what we hope for is, you've been eating broccoli in the lasagna this whole time. See, it's not so bad. And then they respond with, oh, I guess you're right. But what usually happens is, well, now I'm not going to eat anything you make because I don't know what you're hiding from me. I can't believe you lied to me. You know I hate broccoli. I can never eat lasagna again. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 12 through 15 says, what are worthless and wicked people like? They are constant liars, signaling their deceit with a wink of the eye, a nudge of the foot, or the wiggle of fingers. Their perverted hearts plot evil, and they constantly stir up trouble. But they will be destroyed suddenly, broken in an instant beyond all hope of healing. So use this method with caution, and certainly with a heart that desires to nourish your loved one, not just have control over them. For this strategy, what you're going to do is essentially make a veggie sauce. I like to boil an assortment of vegetables in some broth until they are super fork tender. And then you just blend them all up. Add whatever spices or seasonings you or your selective palate person likes. And I usually use my immersion blender to make sure I get all of the chunks smoothed out. But whatever kind of blender on hand you have is perfectly fine. And then use that as a sauce on any main dish that they will eat. Chicken, pasta, ground beef. Pair it with something you know they already like. In fact, sometimes a tomato sauce base also works really well since it has a very strong distinguishing flavor that helps camouflage the rest of the vegetables. I've also had clients be very successful with adding cheese on the finished product. Just make sure that there is enough liquid in your vegetable boil base to ensure that it's truly saucy. If it's any kind of mashed potato-y texture, your food-averse person is going to know something's up and they probably won't try it. Okay, so let's recap. If you or someone you love has a selective palate and struggles to eat healthy food, here are 3 strategies that I've seen a lot of success with in my time as a nutritionist. Number 1, association. Take the things they already like and find something similar to pair it with. Number 2, involve them in the process. Give them an element to take complete ownership of in the creation of the meal. And number 3, the disguise. Completely change the flavor and texture of the nutrient-dense ingredients and include it with a food they do like. This one, again, to be used with caution. Remember, I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve with this topic, so if you could use a helping hand in getting your selective palate loved one more nutrients, or if you simply could use another brain to lean on in coming up with a menu of healthy meals that checks all the boxes so you aren't making personal dishes for everyone, I encourage you to schedule a diet-free nutrition coaching call with me. 1 hour together, and you will have a step-by-step plan to get you through at least the next week. Go to coachrain.com/dietfree to schedule your call today. That's coachrain.com/dietfree. I'll see you there. I pray this episode was helpful to you, my friend. If so, could you do me a massive favor and take 30 seconds to write a review? This is the best way to bless me big and help more people learn just how simple eating healthy consistently can be. And if you want more value-packed info from me, head to coachrain.com and sign up for the Weekly Harvest, my weekly emails filled with recipes, how to use food as medicine, biblical nutrition, and more. That's coachreign.com for the Weekly Harvest. Blessings until next time, sis. Toodles.